Barney went 9. Yeah, I was just waiting to see you guys crowing and complaining. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. Feeling a bit subdued right now. We do this show every Monday through Friday, high noon-ish, 12:04 today. Someday, you know what I've never done? I have been in a position where I can go early. I've been in a position where we could launch this rocket at 11:58. Haven't done it. Waited to noon. There have been a number of shows that have actually started at high noon, but mostly 12:04. Okay, every day, Monday through Friday, round about that time. Here's what I do. I wake up early. Today it was leaf blowers at 7:45. Right outside my window because I had the window open because it was nice last night. Get some air. We've been stuck in a shoebox for like the last 6 months, an air-conditioned shoebox. It was nice to have the windows open, but the leaf blowers woke me up. So every morning I wake up and I compile a list of all of the things that are important, all the things that are defining this day, the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, whatever it is. We bring it to you. News, whatever the news CNN is screaming about with Washington Post, the New York Times, whatever it is, USA Today. I try to find interesting things that sort of sum up what everybody's buzzing about today. I don't want you to be wandering around out there in the great wide open without a clue as to what people are talking about. So this show exists every Monday through Friday at high noon. Now, what I just described to you may, in fact, be the meat and potatoes of this venture, but it's only the fourth quarter. I look at it as 4 quarters, like a football game. First quarter, the first thing we do is a segment called Erstwhile on This Day. Erstwhile on This Day is we look back at history. Previously on, if you will. We look at the events that have shaped our understanding of what this day has meant. Things that happened. We don't do them all because lots of things have happened on this day. We just do the ones that I think are interesting. Also, quarter 2, birthdays. We do birthdays. We look at people who were born on this day. These are not groundbreaking segments, folks, but I like to do them in a way that, a little bit different. I go through all of the big-time name birthdays of the day, and I cherry-pick the ones that I can rant on because that's the other thing about this show. It is a 2-hour stream of consciousness rant. I don't use scripts. I don't have commercials. Here's what I use. I use headlines. That's it. But nothing like that. Everything else is just unfiltered nonsense out of me, a middle-aged narcissist screaming into a microphone on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter every day for 2 years now. All right, quarter 3 after we do the birthdays, then we go into deaths. These are I like this. We call this the deads, or I call it the deads. Well, and I guess I do have multiple voices in my head. We call it the deads. It's where we take a look at people who have died on this day. Notorious people, celebrities, whatever it is. We look at them, we open up their life's resume, and we decide based on our understanding of Judeo-Christian values whether or not these folks went to heaven or hell. That's right. We look at, you died this day, where'd they go? We play that. That's quarter 1, Erstwhile on This Day. Quarter 2, birthdays. Quarter 3, the deads. Quarter 4, all of the headlines and hot topics that are shaping this day. Okay, also, let's see. We got the chat room going. Who's in the chat room today? It's filling in. I want to say hi to Barney in first. To Rhonda, Al, Jeff. Let's see. Al and Barney getting into something? What am I? Leslie's here. We got Byron, we got Barney, we got Al, we got Jeff, I'm just going to say the same names. Same people pretty much participate in the chat room every day. Come into the chat room. I want to build the chat room because the numbers say more than just the people who are watching the chat room are, checking the show out. So I want to know, I would like to build the chat room. I think a good, healthy chat room might help grow the show. Not that we don't have a good, healthy chat room, and the show has not grown significantly in the past 2 years. But I just think a bigger chat room might be bigger fun. That's all. I don't know. I want this to be a communal conversation about the topics of the day. Also, this show, you should be reminded, the show runs on your support. That's right. This kind of talk radio, non-divisive, non-political. We don't get any of that nonsense. There's plenty of nonsense for us to wade through and have some fun with without having to, crucify our neighbor because of the red hat they're wearing or because of the fact that, they had a Biden sign, whatever, God forbid. No, we don't do that here. This is all the other stuff, and real radio doesn't support that. So I don't have a job in real radio anymore. So I have to do my brand of talk radio right here every day online. And if you are so inclined to support that kind of talk radio, drop a little something in the tip jar. I'll leave that up intermittently throughout the show. If you forget, you can drop Venmo, you can drop Cash App, but that's how this show runs. Thank you so much. Now, we have a little game that we play here. We like to take all of the people who tip during a previous show. We find the biggest one, and we make them the executive producer of the day, Leslie C. Second day in a row. She nobody tipped yesterday. I mean, so what are you gonna do, right? Can't get a tip every day. Yeah, you can. Hey, everybody, that's my co-host, schizophrenic me. Narcissistic me is the one who sits before you. Schizophrenic me is the voice in my head that tells me all my great ideas are terrible and I ought to just shut up. He's been around forever, and now he co-hosts the show with me. He just points out when I'm being a hypocrite or when I'm just flat wrong. Thank you to Leslie. Thank you to Leslie the other day. All right. If you are noticing a slightly different tone, or shall we say energy, coming out of me, it's because I'm making a concerted effort after going deep into a bunch of random episodes. The last couple of days, I've taken random episodes from the last couple of years, and I just watched. I just wanted to see, like, how do I sound? Do I sound differently? Am I saying things? Is it, I don't know how to quantify it or even explain it, but I know what it is when I see it, right? So that's just what I do. And man, I was just disgusted with I got to tone my energy down. I got to calm it down. Got to be more in control. Got to be more professional. I used to think to just let it go. That's the whole point of this stream. Let it all go. But I don't know. Some of it was just flat out unwatchable. Some of it I liked. I mean, it's not to say that, there isn't anything that I do that I don't like. I do suffer from imposter syndrome. That was one of the early diagnoses that I got in therapy. So, I never think that anything I do is any good. Finally, he's right about something. See what I mean? That's schizophrenic me. He hates me. He thinks I'm right. All right. Anyway, there were things that I liked, but I want to be calmer. I want to be more conversational and less ranty. And I mean, I was watching just some random thing from like 6 months ago, and I'm like, geez, I should be in a subway. I should be in a subway on like a cardboard box screaming at people. This is nuts. Anyway, so there is going to be an attempt and a change in energy, change in presentation. Hi, Jameson. Jameson's back. It's good to see Jameson. Jameson seems to be fairly new in the chat room, although Jameson's been in and out and, over the course of the last couple of years. But it is good to see him with some consistency. I always get worried when one of our chatters drops off. What is going on in the chat room before we get this thing rolling? Barney says he overslept big today. Woke up 15 minutes after he should have. That's sometimes that's fine. Yeah, oversleeping's fine. Get a little change in your dynamic. We fall into when everything is timed, we fall into a rut. Life gets boring. Oversleep every once in a while. Get you excited. Take a different way to work. Maybe undersleep. Take a different way to work. Get lost on your way to work. I don't know. Hi, Jen. Jen is here. Rainy's here. Oh man, it's nice to see everybody coming in the chat room. All right, what do you say we get started? Today's show. Let me see here. Do we have? God, I did a lot of recording yesterday, folks. I did a bunch of recording. I did a bunch of dog stuff, and then Kelly and I did let's be honest, it's her segment. Her Practical Picks podcast you can find on Radio Misfits. That's out now. Kelly's Practical Picks for week 10. Trying to think what stupid thing do we fall down. Well, so here's something that we realized. we realized this last week, and we still don't have any answers. We are two grown people. Kelly Moore and myself. We're two grown people. We're educated. We went to college. We've been trusted by major media organizations in large American cities to just discuss the events of the day. So it's not like we're stupid. We are kind of stupid about stuff. But anyway, we fake it good. So but we're two grown adults. And we realized last week during Practical Picks, we have no idea what steel is. We were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And she said, what is steel? And no one has ever said to me, what is steel, right? Steel is just always a thing. And she said, what is steel anyway? And I go, steel is steel. And then she said, well, how do you get it? Do you got to make it? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you just pull it out of the ground. I honestly didn't know. I don't know. So we looked into it, and we had a conversation about the whole process of steel making. So, that's the kind of stuff that we do on our football pick show. We admit that we're stupid. Did you know what steel was? I mean, some of you might, but I think most of us just thought steel. I mean, we even pondered if there were steel trees somewhere. Does it grow because we're idiots? All right. So that's available now. Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com. Kelly, Pugs and Kelly's practical picks, although let's give her credit because really it's her bit. All right, let's get started with today's show. Here's what we do. We start out with quarter one, right? Quarter one is going to be erstwhile on this day. But first, I have to tell you, today is the 16th day of November, year of our Lord, 2023. The 16th day of November is the 320th day of the year. That leaves 45 more until the end of the year. Get those New Year's Eve plans started. Erstwhile on this day is our first segment. Let's get started here. This is where we take a look back at the events that have shaped our understanding of this day. Let's go to 1907. 1907 on this day, Indian Territory and Oklahoma Territory joined to form the state of Oklahoma, which is admitted as the 46th of those there states on this day. Welcome to the party, Oklahoma. All right, so let me riff on Oklahoma, our neighbor to the north here in North Texas. Just what, a 40-minute drive? Just head up north, 40 minutes. You'll be there, crossing that border. I don't really have much to say about Oklahoma. It's not it suffers because it's in the shadow of Texas, right? Can we be honest about that? It's in the shadow of Texas. People forget about Oklahoma. I used to have to drive. I changed my route driving from Dallas to Chicago, which I did frequently. I literally changed my route to avoid Oklahoma because driving through Oklahoma was just the worst. It's like an ashtray. It's just like America's ashtray. Do young people even remember what an ashtray looked like? It just barren, and then I know southern Oklahoma, the part that's nearest Texas, is nice and it's green and it's lush and the Red River and all that. But then you get into the guts of Oklahoma and you're like, well, now I know why they gave this land away. Now I get it. I literally changed my route. I willingly accepted a route that was going to be an hour to maybe 2 hours longer simply to avoid Oklahoma. Anyway, on this day, Oklahoma became a state. On this day, and look, here, what? Okay, so you can't just do that. You can't just hammer a state for lacking inspiration. Some of the hottest girls are from Oklahoma, though. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. So many hot girls in Oklahoma. Porn stars, too. A lot of porn stars in Oklahoma. Now, the population of Oklahoma, why this is interesting, because the population of Oklahoma doesn't support the ratio of truly spectacular-looking women that exist in that state. It shouldn't be. Oklahoma should have a hot chick ratio equal to that of, say, an Indiana or maybe in Nebraska, but it doesn't. It outkicks the coverage in every respect. There are so many attractive women in Oklahoma. There you go. Say something negative, say something good. Of course, they're all getting the hell out of there and moving to Dallas. That's how I know them. They're all stripping in Dallas, but still. Wait, you're from Oklahoma too? Jesus. Yeah, and so are my 10 friends. Holy crap. Forget about Sweden. There should be an Oklahoma bikini team, man. I'm telling you. Women up there are gorgeous. All right, moving on. On this day, erstwhile on this day, 1938, LSD is first made. Albert Hoffman from, let's see. On this day, LSD is first synthesized by Albert Hoffman from ergotamine, I don't know, and the Sandoz laboratories in Basel. All right, so Switzerland, Basel, Switzerland or Sweden. Another thing I'm stupid about. I don't make any distinction between Switzerland and Sweden, and they're not even next to each other. And that's something I only learned as an adult. I just always thought Swiss, mountains, skiing, snow, Sweden, mountain ski. I just, both start Switzerland, SW, Sweden, SW. I conflate the two. So I don't know where Basel is, but they made LSD on this day in 1938. On this day in 1973, Skylab, NASA launches the Skylab 4 with a crew of 3 astronauts from Cape Canaveral, Florida. This was on this day in 1973. Now, Skylab. Hey, Gen Xers, come on. Yeah, I said Skylab, and all you Gen Xers went, oh, wait, what? Haven't heard that in a while. Do you guys remember Skylab? I was 10 years old. It's 10 years old, and every single 10-year-old in the country was absolutely convinced that a giant piece of space junk was going to fall on their house because the media did that to us. The media, and I was a kid. I was 10 years old. I didn't know. I had no idea they could lie on TV. Yeah, it used to be, well, they said it on TV, so it must be true. That's Skylab is falling. Communities all across America are taking precautions for falling debris from Skylab. Skylab is falling. We even had like classes in school about what to do if Skylab falls. What do you mean what to do? What do you mean what to do? If Skylab falls, you're going to need to get your Skylab falling kit. If it falls on me just like I get blindsided. I'm just, what? It's so stupid. It's stupid America. It wasn't going to fall on us. They knew where it was going to fall. Go do the background research on this story because I've been interested in this. There was never any real concern that Skylab was going to fall on anybody. And yet me at 10 years old was allowed to freak out for like 2 weeks. Skylab on this day in 1973 was launched. On this day in 1990, pop group Milli Vanilli are stripped out of their Grammy Award because the duo did not sing. Girl, you know it's true. Bop, 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 bop. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I love you. Is that a good song? I think it is. I don't know if it's a good song because what is it hitting? What is it hitting my guilty pleasure vibe? Is it ironic that I like it because we all know the backstory of Milli Vanilli and how they faked it? But it doesn't make it any less of a good song. That's the thing. It makes the video a lie, and it makes our idea when we imagine people singing it, it makes that a lie. It doesn't make the song a lie. The song was sung by human beings. Those human beings simply didn't get credit. So the song shouldn't lose the grant. Although, wait, hold on. Wait a second. Let me read more because this is where I get stupid because remember, I'm streaming. I believe the Grammy Award was not for the song. I believe the Grammy Award that they were stripped for was for Best New Artist. I think it was for them as artists. And then, then I understand. Then the Grammy comes back because it's not about the song. In that particular case, it is specifically about the artists who we believe, because we're being told, who we think are singing the song. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, it was on this day. They did not handle that well. Milli Vanilli did not. It was one of them. Didn't one of them jump out a window? One of them jumped out of. One of them just was like, I can't be this guy anymore. I gotta jump out a window. And actually, let's do this. I have no idea what the fate of the remaining. It was only 2, and one of them jumped out a window. So are they both alive? All right, let's see. Milli Vanilli was a German R&B music act from Munich. The act was packaged by Boney M. In 1988 and consisted of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus. All right, I think Fab Morvan is the one who died, and Rob Pilatus invented Pilates. That's what I think. Okay, Fab Morvan is still alive. Okay, so it was the guy who would go on to not invent Pilates who was alive, who died. All right, where is it? Oh, you know it's true. Bop, 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 bop. Yeah, he's dead. Okay, he died in 98. Rob Pilatus was a German singer, dancer, model, rapper. He was a member of the pop group Milli Vanilli. Death. All right, let's look at his death. All right, geez, here we go. Well, I asked the question. I said, they didn't handle it well. So on April 3rd, 1998, on the eve of a promotional tour for a new Milli Vanilli album called Back and in Attack, featuring Pilatus and Morvan, Pilatus was found dead from an alcohol and prescription drug overdose in a hotel room at the Frischlandorf near Frankfurt. His death was ruled accidental. The album has never been released. Pilatus is buried in the Munich Warendorf cemetery. All right, so he didn't jump out a window. I'm glad that's why we click on these things, because, I thought he jumped out a window. Girl, you know it's true. Well, anyway, on this day, 1990, I believe it was, pop group Milli Vanilli stripped of their Best New Artist Grammy. On this day in 2022, Artemis program. NASA launches Artemis 1 on the first flight of the Space Launch System, the start of the program's future missions to the moon. Now, I'm a moon freak and I like the space, but that's not why I mentioned this historic event that occurred just 1 year ago on this day. It's because it's kind of interesting. Here's a fun little fact about this. Do you know that there is like a quarterback in the NFL who is balling out, who in his spare time and in the off season works as a rocket scientist on the Artemis program? Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is a member of NASA's Artemis team. He's also the current starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, and he's balling out. Good for him. That's cool. That is so great. That is doing that. Black quarterback who's a running athletic black quarterback who's also a rocket scientist. What's that you say? The black quarterback can't be a quarterback because he's not quite as smart and all he can do is run? Well, here I got one who can run, and guess what? He's super smart. In fact, he's legitimately a rocket scientist. His nickname is cool too. His nickname is the Pastronaut. Come on, man. That's awesome. Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut. And by the way, that's his goal. That's his dream. He's still a young man and he's still working his way through the program at NASA, but he wants to be an astronaut. He wants to go to space. So that's kind of cool. So I root for Josh Dobbs, even though I find it difficult to root for the Minnesota Vikings. All right, that's going to do it for Erstwhile on this day. Let's do some birthdays. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1896, Oswald Mosley. I didn't know who Oswald Mosley was until like season 3 of Peaky Blinders. Did you guys watch Peaky Blinders? Oh, God. I can't wait to re-rack that show. It's just I just finished it, and I started a re-binge when the final episode was like 6, 7, 8 months ago or something like that, and I re-binged the whole series. So I've recently re-binged it. That is one of my favorite shows of all time. Peaky Blinders is just elite television. But Oswald Mosley is the character. If you're familiar with Peaky Blinders, Peaky Blinders is the story. It's the true story of a street gang that grew into an organized crime empire in post-World War I Birmingham, England. And they're called Peaky Blinders when they were just a street gang because they wore hats that were known as peakies. The kinds of hats that these young men wore were peakies. And they were called Peaky Blinders because they hid razor blades in the bills of their peakies. And they'd come up to you on the street and they would slice your eyes out and they'd blind you. And that's how you knew you were marked by the Peaky Blinders. Anyway, that's a real organization. Now, the show Peaky Blinders talks about Tommy Shelby and the Shelby family, the half gypsy crew. Well, actually, some of them were full gypsy, but the crew in Birmingham who built the Peaky Blinders from a street gang into a major organized crime thing. Now, the Shelby family, who is profiled and is the central characters, I don't believe they're real. I don't think they're real. The Peaky Blinders are real. What they did in Birmingham at this point in time was real. And the show also incorporates real people. Like there are real historical figures who cross paths with the Peaky Blinders. Everyone from Winston Churchill to our birthday boy, Oswald Mosley, who I didn't know who he was until he entered. Tommy Shelby, the leader of the Peaky Blinders in later episodes, without spoiling anything, goes into politics and becomes a member of parliament, an MP. So not only is he a crime boss, but he's also now a member of parliament. And he is known to be incredibly powerful. People respect his power and his influence. But he doesn't really have a party affiliation. So he is lured over by Oswald Mosley to the British, the fascists. Oswald Mosley is the guy who historically was the member of parliament in England who advocated for let's not just tolerate Hitler, let's get in on this. Let's kill the Jews ourselves. That's who Oswald Mosley was. As featured on Peaky Blinders. Oswald Mosley, born on this day in, 18, something like that. Yeah, 1896. Born on this day in 1916, Dawes Butler. Who's Dawes Butler? You don't know who Dawes Butler? Dawes Butler is a voice actor, and he's a voice actor who brought a lot of joy, man. I'm telling you. Let me just tell you who Dawes Butler is, okay? When you hear these names, let me run these names off. This is him. When you hear Yogi Bear, that's Dawes Butler. Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, Augie Doggy. That's Dawes Butler. Wally Gator, Quick Draw McGraw, Baba Louie, Snooper, and Blabber. That's Dawes Butler. Hokey Wolf, Elroy Jensen, the Funky Phantom, and Hair Bear. I don't know who Hair Bear is. Those are all Dawes Butler. Happy birthday, Dawes Butler. He's awesome. Elroy Jetson. The man was probably 70 when he played Elroy Jet. That's funny. Born on this day in 1950, Harvey Martin. Whoo, Harvey Martin. Proud of Oak Cliff. Well, him and Mean Joe Green. Did Harvey Martin and Mean Joe Green play on the same Oak Cliff High School defense? Huh? Harvey Martin, great NFLer, great cowboy. He doesn't appear on too many, greatest defensive end lists of all time, but that doesn't mean anything because neither does Hollywood Henderson or Too Tall Jones. But here's the thing, the three of those guys together, whoo, you got a problem. That was a defense, man. I'm just old enough to remember those Cowboys defenses from the Staubach Laundry years. Danny White backing up. Oh my God. You got Randy, Hollywood, Too Tall. Man, that was a team, boy. I hated you. Don't get me wrong. I was a Bear fan and I despised the Cowboys. But I can look back now as a kid and go, yeah, I despised that team because they scared the hell out of everyone. That team was scary. Those teams, those Landry teams of the 70s, when they truly became America's team, when that branding took hold, I would argue that team was scarier in the consciousness of the opponents than the Jimmy Johnson teams. Those Jimmy Johnson teams were unstoppable. But there was a mythology about that team with Landry. There was a mythology about the Staubach team. I mean, they were just everywhere. I don't know. And again, I was a kid. These are the perceptions of a kid. I was a little bit older in the 90s when they did it with Jimmy and Troy. Anyway, moving on. Happy birthday, Harvey Martin. Born on this day in 1950. Born on this day in 1960, Lisa Bonet. I was never a Lisa Bonet. She never gave me a Bonet. She gave some of my friends Bonets, but not me. I mean, I could acknowledge that she was pretty, but there was just, I don't know. There was just, I'll tell you who I liked. I liked Whitley. Remember Whitley from A Different World? Yeah. You were either you and I also liked Cree. Remember Cree Summer? She was cute. Who did she play? I don't know. I just remember watching A Different World and thinking that Lisa Bonet wasn't even the most attractive on the show. Moving on. And look, she's extraordinarily attractive. Don't get me wrong. Just not my thing. I was like, born on this day in 1977, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Maggie Gyllenhaal's kind of my thing. Kind of got a thing for her. Ever seen Secretary? Whew. Jeez. Good Lord. Born on this day in 1977. Sister of Jake, don't you know? And here's the other thing about the Gyllenhaals. A little bullshit. Yeah. They can just make it. It ain't just a brother and sister who it's like, oh my God, can you believe there's two of them? Can you believe we got so lucky in the haystack that is the scattered talent of America's dinner theater and high school drama clubs? In all of that, we just found these two and they happen to be brother and sister. Do you think that's how it happened? It's not how it happened. You know, their mom is the most influential casting director in Hollywood history. I don't know. I overstated. I might be a little bit hyperbolic. She's an important casting director. Their mom's job was to decide who got put in movies. So, I'm wondering if your mom's job was to decide who gets put in movies. Your mom. Think about your mom. If your mom's job was to decide who got put in movies, and you as her child were someone who wanted to be in movies, dude, I'd have won like 10 Oscars by now. My mom would have put me in everything, and your mom would have too. And so did Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal's mom. Born on this day in 1977. Doesn't mean they can't do it. Does not mean they can't do it. Don't misconstrue me pointing out the obvious realities of it with an acknowledgement that once you're there, you have to be able to do it. And Maggie Gyllenhaal can do it. And so can Jake Gyllenhaal, which raises the question, how hard really is it to do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how hard? Like, if we're just casting directors, kids now, and it just turns out that they can do it. Like, oh, they're good. maybe it's not that hard to be good at it. I don't know. I'm just saying. I've been impressed with some actors, but most actors, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I've lied to girlfriends before. I've been in shady business deals where I feel like the tides are turning against me and I had to pretend to be a different character. Anyway, born on this day in 1977, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Born on this day in 1985, Santa Marin. Can we I love Santa Marin. How's she doing these days? She went through some stuff, man, not bad stuff, but remember they accused her of being a party girl, and a party girl can't be the prime minister of Finland. And, she was, because she went to a bar, she was making out with a dude because she's a smoke show 30-year-old world leader. She's single. She's really pretty. She really checks a lot of my boxes. Santa Marin celebrating a birthday today, former prime minister of Finland. And by the way, she was also very popular. She was like, as far as like people wanting her to stay, it wasn't like the people who were like, nah, her party just lost power. Her party, that's how it works over there. The party that wins power in parliament assigns the prime minister. And anyway, she's still important. Still, she'll be back. She'll be back. She's the leader of her party, and they'll be back. So happy birthday, Santa Marin, born on this day in 19. I have no idea what her politics are. I have no idea. I just know she's hot. I just know she's very attractive. She's very elegant looking. She's very sophisticated. And when you see her speak and when she gives speeches, she's cute. She's like really cute. It's like her energy is cute and her confidence is cute and she's nice. Yeah, I don't know. I dig her. Don't know anything about her politics. Don't much care. Born on this day in 1993. Here's also somebody who I don't know anything about their politics and I don't really care. Pete Davidson is having a birthday. Now, I'm not a Pete Davidson hater. I appreciate Pete Davidson. I think he's amusing, and I find his brand entertaining. This is not anything. I just don't see the talent. Like I understand that we live in an era where influencers are famous and there's not this quantifiable talent that, you can recognize like anymore. There used to be, like when the first time you saw De Niro in Taxi Driver, you were like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a little different. But that's not, that doesn't dictate celebrity anymore. So just being famous, Pete Davidson, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Again, let's not live in absolutes. Pugs hates Pete Davidson. No, I really don't. I loved him, and I don't understand why he's the phenomenon that he is. I love you and appreciate you and think you are great. And understand why you're not a phenomenon. You're great, you're talented, but you're not a phenomenon. You're not Taylor Swift. Why is he Taylor Swift? Why is he someone real? He's not. I don't get it. I look at him and I go, well, he's not Brad Pitt or George Clooney or Leo. I understand why they were always talked about. Or is he? I don't know. Women seem to really think he's hot, and he's not, man. Not by any standard. If he was my buddy, like I'm always good. You hang out with your guys. I know which of my guys are hot guys, right? I know which ones are, you go out with your girlfriend, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna bring my friends. And they're like, yeah, well, bring him and bring him. Don't bring him. You get that. We know. I don't see it in Pete. If I was buddies with Pete, I'd be like, he's got confidence and charm. That's what he's got. He's got oodles of that. And that's why his brand, and that's why I even like him to the degree that I do. It's because of his confidence and his charm. Happy birthday to Pete Davidson. I do not understand. You were not great on Saturday Night Live. You had a couple of things that were good. You certainly didn't do enough on Saturday Night Live for you to have the post-Saturday Night career that you seem to be having. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. King of Staten Island, good movie. Good movie. Maybe he can act. He's young enough and hot enough that if he makes the right moves, he's going to prove me wrong. And I look forward to it. Why wouldn't I? Because that means I've just been thoroughly entertained by something. See, that's because I'm post-ego. The reason I wouldn't acknowledge him doing something in the future that's going to be great and change my opinion is because changing my opinion would show weakness, and I can't allow the world to see weakness, so I'm going to stay dug in. But I'm post-ego. I want him to do something that's going to make me go, that was great. I enjoyed having that moment where that was great. I don't give a shit if people are like, yeah, but you said, yeah, new information came across my plate. I changed my mind. That's how things should happen. It happens every day you drive to work. You stop because that light is red. And then new information comes across and it turns green and you change your mind, you fucking flip-flopper. Pete Davidson. All right, time to talk about people who are dead. Let's do the deads. These are the people who have died. These are the people who have died on this day. We like to open up their life's resume, take a look at it, and decide they did this, they did this. Where are they going? Heaven or hell? Like I said, this is a fun segment for me, and it inspired me watching 20 minutes of Defending Your Life every day. I think I've got about 4 more days of watching it. Although I won't be watching that. I'll be watching something else. More on that coming up in the 4th quarter of this show. Right now, we've moved into the 3rd quarter. Deaths, people who died. Let's decide whether or not they went to heaven or hell. Margaret of Scotland died on this day in 1093. We're going to preemptively put her on. No, don't. We're going to preemptively put Margaret of Scotland. We're going to put her in heaven because she's better known as Saint Margaret of Scotland. So I guess, the heavy lifting on this one has already been done for us. Spam risk. All right. So yeah, she's already saint. She's not only is she in heaven, she is C-suite heaven, right? She's a saint. She executive level. There's a C before her title, whatever. S-suite. Maybe we'll call it S-suite. We'll call it the S-suite in heaven instead of C-suite. So she's in heaven. There you go. Margaret of Scotland. Dead on this day in 1960, Clark Gable. This is a weird one because Clark Gable, because he was in one. Let's be honest. The reason we know who Clark Gable is because he was in one movie. He was in Gone with the Wind. We know about Gone with the Wind. Why is spam leaving messages? Oh, maybe because the telemarketers are instructed to leave a message. Yeah, probably. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm talking about Clark Gable. Yeah, Gone with the Wind, right? That was it. So that's a landmark film made in like 40? I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago. Landmark film. He became iconic because I know he was in other things, but we're talking about the perception of Clark Gable, not the people who saw the movie he did before Gone with the Wind or the 5 after. We're talking about people who weren't alive when he was, right? So what is the understanding of who Clark Gable was? And I think it's really just the guy in Gone with the Wind. Look, you want to get pushy? Sure. I know all about It Happened One Night with Claudette Colbert. I know all of the Westerns. I know this, but I'm talking about general perception of him. How did he die? I don't even know how he died. How did Clark Gable die? Let's see. How old was he? He died in 1960. Was he born in 1840? Like, how old was he? 59. He was 60. Okay. Yeah, he was born in 1901. All right, let's get to the death. Let's figure out how he died. Do you think he died of something that could be cured today? Do you think like he died of something that, just luck of when he was born? On November 6, 1960, Gable was sent to Hollywood Presby Hospital in Los Angeles, where doctors found that he had suffered a heart attack. Okay. Newspaper reports the following day listed his condition as satisfactory. By the morning of November 16th, he seemed to be improving, but he died that evening at the age of 59 from a second heart attack caused by an infection. Yeah, they might have been able to fix him. He probably could have survived that heart attack if that had happened in 2023. Clark Gable, he's an actor, so he's going to hell. I mean, I don't know what we were, right? He's an actor. He lied they're not even human. Actors are not a part of the human species. They are blank slates. They put forth who they want us to think they are. They're like ghosts. They're not real humans. Never fall in love with an actor. Why do you think they get divorced so much? Why do you think when 2 actors marry each other, it almost never works out? Because they're both incredible phonies. And at some point, the real person buried deep in each one are going to realize the other is a phony. And then they start hating each other, even though they're both phonies. That's what happens. I'm smart on these things. Trust me, I'm dumb on a lot of things. I'm smart on judging people, miniature golf, and this. Let's see here. Dead on this. So he's going to hell. Dead on this day in 1971, Edie Sedgwick. Who is Edie Sedgwick? I don't know. She was before Instagram. She was like Instagram famous, like way before Instagram. She was okay. So before people became influencers and like famous for their like tweets and stuff like that, there was a class of people who weren't called influencers, but they were thought to be just famous for being famous. They were just, part of other famous people's way. Edie Sedgwick was a model. She wasn't an insanely successful model. We don't think of her the way we think of other models from the era, but she did have a relationship, and by relationship I say she his muse or whatever with Andy Warhol. So this chick was a part of the whole Andy Warhol scene. What was that called? The factory scene that also had everyone from Lou Reed to a young divine, the cross dresser from the John Waters movies. The factory was a collection of weirdos and artists that Andy Warhol sort of supported, and he had this place in New York, and it became the epicenter of cool of the era. The factory, New York City, the factory, Andy Warhol, and Edie Sedgwick was a part of that. And she's also the aunt, I believe, of Kira Sedgwick, the actor who's married to Kevin Bacon. But Edie Sedgwick, she's gonna go to hell because she checks a whole bunch of boxes. And first of all, she was an actress, so she's full of shit there. She was hanging out with Andy Warhol and being all pretentious and stuck up. So that's nonsense. Those people from that scene, they just seem so unlikable now through the lens of history. I know at the time it's like, Lou Reed is the coolest guy on the planet. Lou Reed was an asshole. Lou Reed was a stuck-up, conceited jerk who had nothing but contempt for regular people. And he sort of veiled that with this idea that I don't suffer fools. No, you're an asshole. You know another word for someone who doesn't suffer fools is an intolerant asshole. All of those people were jerks. So let's just Edie Sedgwick's going to hell too. Don't know why. Just, model, actress, just a bunch of. We didn't have a lot to choose from today. The duds were not a great selection. So all three are going to hell. And we shall now move forward into the fourth quarter. All right, moving on. Fourth quarter of the show. Every day we go through the hot topics, the events, the stuff that people are barking about today, what you need to know if you're going to sully forth into the great unwashed. I don't want people coming up to you and going, hey, did you hear about? And then you got to listen to them. That's like the worst. You know what I just realized? Because I saw it in the camera. I realized that my coffee, I thought I didn't have coffee today. And now I see the coffee is right there. See it? I guess this would be easier to do. Just grab it. For crying out loud, it's warm. It's not even hot anymore. Damn thermal cups. By the way, I saw this video yesterday. I don't know what kind of it was like a Yeti cup, but it wasn't a Yeti. It was a different brand. And maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe this is the line that's been blurred between authentic video that someone uploads and a viral campaign done by a company that's paying. I don't know what this was, but it didn't look like a commercial. Although they even say in it, this would make a great commercial they say that. So I don't know. Maybe they say that. Maybe it is a commercial. Maybe they're saying, is it a dupe? I can't keep my eye. There are a lot of plates spinning here. So whatever. But I saw the viral video in a car, a Honda. I'd been in a house fire, and the Honda was in the garage, and the garage burned to the ground, and the Honda burned to the ground. The Honda was completely burned out. And the viral video was of the Honda's owner. She opens up the door of this completely burned out car. The steering wheel is melted. The dash is melted. Everything is jacked. The seats are burned to shit. And she leans into this car, and the cup holder is intact. And in the cup holder, she claims, is one of these thermos cups, not a Yeti, something else. I don't know what it was. And she goes, the entire car burned to the ground. Even the tires melted. But, and she reaches in and she picks up this glass, this cup, this thermal cup that was in the car. 24 hours later, after being in the fire, there was still ice in the glass. The glass still had ice in it. Man, that's amazing. I don't know if that was a lie. I don't know if it's Christmas, because I should know the name, because I'm like, I'm going to buy that. I need to buy that right away. car burns down and I'm thirsty. I mean, I don't know why I would need it, but it is an incredible demonstration of how good that thermal cup is. This one sucks balls. This one does not. The coffee is already cool. All right, let's move on. Let's do this. Thank you again to Leslie C. She is the executive producer of today's show. If you would like to be tomorrow's executive producer, you can drop a little something at some point during the show. All right, let's get started. Here are the things that are happening in the world. China and JoJo. That's right, JoJo and Jingjing. They met there in China, in San Francisco. Big doings. It's a big deal. I've been talking about it all week. This is I've been sitting here going, man, are they tricking us? I mean, if I was raised by a broken man who said, never trust anybody, I might be skeptical here, but I was raised by a loving, kind, brilliant woman who taught me that don't avoid an opportunity. So maybe this is real from China, because it certainly seems to be. China all of a sudden wanting to be in the United States business. For what reason, I don't know, but we welcome it, because these are very, very turbulent times in multiple corners of the planet. And we need our big boys to be able to pick up the phone and talk to each other about, hey, how you want to handle this thing in Africa? That's what we need. And we haven't had that. Haven't had that because we've had this thing in Russia that's been kind of causing a problem with us. Russia has been, it's been bad. It's like, is China going with them? What's going on? We felt like, why is China choosing Russia? And then Putin started going to Beijing. Remember that? Like, that started happening. Like, there were 3 trips over the course of like 7 months. And we would report on it here. And I'd be like, well, Putin's in Beijing again. This sucks. We can't have these people. And then all of a sudden, China changes. And I honestly think, well, I know that it has to do with a number of factors, but I honestly think that at some point China went, Putin bad. We can't trust Putin. We need to team up with one of the other two, United States or Russia. And we just decided that after months of us hanging out with Putin, we don't like this guy. So China's coming home to his wife. That's who we are. We were married back in the 70s with Nixon. It's been a turbulent. We've had an open relationship for sure. But it does look like China's coming back. The other reason is because the people who are some of the most connected people on the planet, 98%, 98, 97, 90, something like that. Don't quote me. It's a number in that area of Chinese citizens have cell phones, have internet access, we're talking about 4 billion people. These are people who are connected, who are talking to each other. The ideals of communism are difficult enough to enforce without digital connectivity. So the people in China, they kind of dig the West. They they're like, look, why are we teaming up? So there has been great populist outrage about the seeming flirtation between Beijing and Moscow. And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, look, they were supposed to, the G20 was happening, but they weren't supposed to meet. There was nothing there. And in fact, since the spy satellite, remember that? Since the spy balloon that floated over the country, we have been basically at each other's throats. We've been really pissed at each other. So that's why this is a big deal. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping met for the first time in over a year for high-stakes talks on Wednesday to try and bury the hatchet amid dangerously escalating tensions between Washington and Beijing these past few months. The two leaders met for 4 hours at a historic home outside of San Francisco. Their encounter began with a warm double-clasped handshake and a declaration by Xi that the world is, quote, big enough for both our countries. He said that first, unprompted. I mean, do you know how the egos are when it comes to governments and how they bow down to and don't even mix in Chinese tradition and what, being seen as weak means and all that. This is Xi Jinping himself. Xi Jinping, before we get started, I just want to say, us two, look, man, plenty of room. We can work this out. Don't anybody worry. That's amazing. That is really amazing. It's because it's not something you would have expected a week ago. And it's important because China is important. Our relations with China are important. Like I say, we got problems with them. We got problems with China. We got problems with the way they see the world and all that kind of stuff. But right now, we need to table all of those things because the world is on fire in a couple of places. And The two biggest dudes in the bar need to see if they can maintain this from turning into an all-out brawl on the dance floor. That's basically what we need. Because there's one other big dude in the bar, Putin. He's causing problems. And all his little buddies, the Iranians and the Syrians and all those people nobody wants to be in business with, are drunk and acting like fools. That's what's happening in the world. The two leaders met for 4 hours. Xi Jinping claimed the world is big enough for both countries, despite years of rising rhetoric and provocations from Beijing. I'm telling you, it's weird. It's just weird. The China-U.S. relationship has never been smooth sailing and always faces problems of one kind or another, Xi said through a translator as he met with Biden. Yet it has kept moving forward amidst twists and turns. For China and the United States, turning their back on each other is not an option. This is what the president of China is saying, unprompted. Like without, there was, well, that we know of, we don't know. Let's see. For China and the United States, turning their back on each other is not an option. It is unrealistic for one side to remodel the other. And conflict and confrontation has terrible consequences for both sides. Planet Earth is big enough for our two countries to succeed together. Come on, man. Okay, so now the question is, that's fine. That's being said to Western media. The world is two. There's two kinds of media in this world. There is the Western media, the free media, although, as problematic as it may be for some of you and myself at times, it is better than the other option. So what's being reported in China? Like, is China telling its people Biden was completely kissing Xi's ass? Because, in different days, that might have been the narrative that Beijing chose to put out there to the people. Look at how popular our president is. Even the president of the United States is kissing his ass. Okay, so here you go. So this is what the Chinese media is reporting, because I just told you what the American media and the Western media is reporting. So here's what the Chinese media is saying about this. Xi's trip came at a time when U.S.-China relations had reached the lowest point in more than 40 years. But analysts said the Chinese leader needed a win because he is facing so many headwinds at home. Okay, are you getting this? Okay, so he needed a win. And what would constitute a win? Being friendly and making nice with the American people would be a win to him from the people of China. Consider that. The people of China want him to be our friend. And that's why he's doing it. That's what I said. Or at least, yeah. So the Chinese leader needed a win because he is facing so many headwinds at home. There is a slowing economy, latent unhappiness among young people in particular, and questions about his leadership decisions concerning the relationship with the West. So I'm talking. So it's young people, young connected people on social media, a digital revolution to be sure. He saw what happened with, the Arab Spring and how that was all digital and all that. And he's having some problems here because people are talking and he needs to placate them. And one way to placate them is to make them think, whether he truly believes it or not, it doesn't matter, is to make them think that we're gonna now ride off into the sunset with the United States. We're gonna be shoulder to shoulder and we're gonna rule this world like decent people. Let's see. Analysts said the Chinese leader needed a win because he's facing so many headwinds at home, a slowing economy, latent unhappiness among young people, and in particular, questions about his leadership decisions concerning the West. All right, so let's see. Here's the story concerning. All right, so here's the headline. Here in this story comes from the Washington Post. It says, whiplash in China as state media does complete U-turn on the United States. Now, of course, we have to rely on the Washington. I can't just go and look at Chinese newspapers. I don't speak Chinese. Okay, so somebody has to. So take that for what it's worth. But it is being reported that the Chinese leader Xi Jinping's meeting with President Biden was an unmitigated success. This, according to the Chinese version of events, as state media made an about-face so abrupt it caused whiplash on social media. After months of criticizing the United States for trying to contain China's growth, state-controlled Chinese websites were filled Thursday with reports on the positive, comprehensive, and constructive talks between the leaders of the world's two largest economies. This left more than a few Chinese social media users confused. Here's a quote now. I haven't been online for 2 days. A look at the trending topic shows the atmosphere between China and the U.S. is as if a couple in an arranged marriage has suddenly fallen in love. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. It's like you get arranged, you have to be together because there's really no choice if you want things to, remain normal. And then you're like, man, I really wish I could go out and find my own. And then you fall in love with that person you've been arranged. Let's see here. The sharp shift in tone from Beijing came as leaders of the world's two biggest economies met for the first time in more than a year in an attempt to ease tensions and reestablish stronger lines of communication. This after a series of international disputes. They also made progress on transnational issues, cementing a deal to restart climate talks and agreeing to strengthen. What are they doing in China? All of a sudden, I don't know. All right, we're moving on. Anyway, that's good. It's again, like I said, if I was raised by a broken man who was like, never trust anybody, if I was raised by that guy, I'd be looking at this and going, what's their game here? Why are they? But I wasn't. I was raised by someone who taught me about it. Identifying opportunity. And this is an opportunity for greater relations between us and them. So let's move on. The House is in turmoil. Our House of Representatives. Oh my God, crazy things are happening. And they're still doing the job, though. They're getting together and they're taking on the big issues and they're doing the right thing by all of us Americans because that's what we've come to rely on our United States House of Representatives for. Am I right? So the House today, they voted on the George Santos thing. The House, get this. Here's funny. This is the ironically named Ethics Committee. Does not recommend expelling Santos. The Ethics Committee looked at all the things that this... I don't even know what to call this guy. They looked at all the things this George Santos has been involved in. And then, in their august opinion, the Ethics Committee of the House of Representatives says, I don't see anything amiss here. I don't see any reason why. You know why they're doing it? Because they don't want to open the can of worms. Because they're going to have each other's back. Because they know that, politics being the way it is now, so partisan and so assassination-oriented. And I mean career assassination, of course. I could see why, a bunch of dudes who might have skeletons in their own closet don't want these investigations to start leading to congressmen losing their seats. These are multi-million-dollar seats. Look at the seats that way. Can't do that. So they're not going to kick him out because that might start a trend and they might be involved in one of the coming House Ethics Committee, the ironically named House Ethics Committee. We don't say anything wrong. We do not recommend. We think he is a fine young man. We're the House Ethics Committee. The House also did a little bit of work today with the doing important things. They called the head programmers, and by that I mean program TV of Apple TV, and they're grilling them about getting rid of Jon Stewart. That's right, Jon Stewart's show. What was it called? I have a question with Jon Stewart. I don't know. It's some strange. I didn't watch it. I love Jon Stewart. I really do. I think he is a good man. I think he's a decent man. I think I would love for him to run for office. I think that he is exactly the kind of guy he ain't looking to be in office for 4 years and then take a couple of board seats on Fortune 400. It's not what he's already Jon Stewart. He's already done his thing. He's the kind of guy, he matches that criteria that I want. Remember, like, I just want like people over 80 to run. People are like, everybody's too old. I'm like, no, I just want old dudes. I just want old dudes who are going to actually legislate and have opinions on things. Because when you're 80, you ain't thinking about the job you're going to do after this one. And I think that's the biggest problem with Congress. I think they're all thinking about, in Senate, I think they're all thinking about the job they're going to get if they just kiss the right lobbyist's ass while they have that seat. What kind of job am I going to get? So I don't like that. I don't think that's not going to be a thing. So anyway, I like Jon Stewart. His show got canceled by Apple. Nobody watched it. I didn't watch it. And I'm a great Jon Stewart fan. And I love that kind of TV, but I didn't watch it. I don't know. I just never got it. It seemed hard to watch. Did a lot of, what I did do? I did appreciate clips. I would see clips of the show and I'd be like, yeah, Jon Stewart's still calling him to account. Love that. But Apple TV canceled Jon Stewart. I mean, I just assumed, as everyone else did, that they canceled it because nobody was watching it. 'Cause I don't know anybody who watched it. That seems like a legitimate reason for Apple TV to cancel Jon Stewart. However, Congress and Jon Stewart and the Jon Stewart production team as well don't think that they were just fired for low ratings. They think they were fired because of 3 stories that were going to air on this season of the Jon Stewart show that concern China and China's bigfooting of, not even, look, China, let's just put it this way. Congress and Jon Stewart and the Jon Stewart producers believe that they were fired by Apple TV because they were about to do some China stuff. And Apple does huge business with China. And Apple didn't want that on their thing because then when they go and deal with China, China will go, why did you put that on your thing? And so Jon Stewart's gone. Anyway, Congress is looking into this, folks. They're letting George Santos go. Waste of time. I mean, it's probably true, but the Congress of the United States doesn't need to be involved. Does not need to be a United States Congress thing. Should be made public in the way these things are made public, and then the great consumer voice that we all share collectively should decide what to do with Apple when we have the Congress is going to get involved. Are you kidding me? These people can't convict George Santos. We're going to let them make decisions about, All right, moving on. Let's see. What else do we have here? SpaceX is trending. I'm going to be watching this tomorrow. SpaceX has been cleared for a second attempt at their big-ass Mars rocket. Yeah, they got a biggest rocket world's ever known. Big, giant-ass rocket the size of the Empire State Building. I don't know if it is. I just said that because it sounds like something they might say. Big ass rocket, Mars rocket. It's going to be the rocket that's going to get us to Mars. He's been working on it. Elon and his team at SpaceX have been working on it. They put this is going to be attempt 2 because remember the first one didn't go so well. Blew up. There we go. We're going to try it again. They've been given the all clear for a second attempt to the big ass Mars rocket tomorrow from SpaceX. So we'll all be watching that. Elon is trending for another reason though. Elon's being accused of being an anti-Semite. I could click on this and I could just, but I don't even want to read you. I don't need to read it to you. We don't need to talk about what was actually said, but the accusation is interesting. Fact. A known anti-Semite tweeted something that is a conspiracy theory, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. He tweets it. Elon Musk comments on it, something to the effect of no lies told or this is all true. Now, again, let's not get into the actual words and be like, was it or wasn't it? Here's what we know. It is a pretty well-known anti-Semitic belief. Yeah, theory that was shared. And Elon Musk seemed to say, yeah, that's true. So he's in trouble for this, and the entire Jewish world is now coming for him like he's wearing a Kanye costume. They are not happy with him. So I don't know. Is he an anti-Semite? Probably. I don't know him. I don't know what he's like. I've never watched football with him. I've never discussed the comedy of Mel Brooks or Woody Allen with him. I mean, I think that might reveal some of his feelings, but he's probably an anti-Semite. Yeah, probably. He's from South Africa. I mean, those people didn't like anything about anybody. Okay, so there you have it. There you go. Does it change anything? No. I've probably assumed that he was fair. Look, Elon Musk is not a normal human being. He's a completely weird human being. He's going to have all kinds of things that are not going to be well received in polite society. One of them is his inbred hatred of Jews. I can see how that could be a problem for the world's wealthiest man. But again, being the world's wealthiest man means that you can freely be that guy if you choose. So do with him what you will. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Okay. The world's wealthiest man has revealed himself to, believe in anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And again, if you don't think it's a conspiracy theory, you're anti-Semitic. See, that's how it works. See, it's obviously not true, but he believes it is. I don't know. Not a good time to be Jewish, man. Not a good time to be Jewish. I mean, I don't know when was, but I mean, it seems like the past 50 years or so have been okay. At least here in America, it seems pretty good. I don't know. I got a lot of Jewish friends. They seem to be doing really well, but it ain't good now. There is it's scary times, man. My whole life, I grew up, with a generation of grandparents who went through World War II and all that kind of stuff, and so you watching World War II movies, the Nazis were always the bad guys, and there was always this great compassion at every turn. It was ubiquitous. It was great. The way I was raised, it was great compassion for the Jewish people and what they went through, and all of that kind of stuff. But then despite all of that, there have always been these like flare-ups of like, really? People still hate Jews? Like, I've always thought, wait, that's still a thing? And now it's a really big thing. It's like people are like openly walking around going, yeah, Jews got all the money. It's like, is that true? I don't think so. I will say this. I mean, I don't know. I know a number of Jewish people. I have a bunch of Jewish friends. I mean, if first of all, you work in media, there are a lot of, oh my God, that's anti-Semitic. Is it? I mean, because it is true. How is it anti? Why is it? How is that anti-Semitic to say that, yeah, a lot of Jewish people work in media? It's anti-Semitic to then go the next step and go, well, and that's how they control what we think. That's where it gets crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of Jewish people in entertainment and, media. There's a lot of black guys in the NBA. Is that racist to point that out? I don't know. It's just a thing. It's just true. A lot of Irish dudes are cops in big cities. Racist or anti-Irish? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We don't even. I believe that there's a problem with people being intolerant of other people. But I also believe that there's a problem with people who like to point out when people are being intolerant of other people. And oftentimes I feel they're getting it wrong. They're misinterpreting it because they're stupid, because they're not really listening to the nuance of what the person speaking is trying to articulate. Instead, they're just looking for an opportunity to go, you're racist, and in this moment, that makes me better than you. That's what it is. That's all it is. That is not to say that there aren't real. I mean, this whole conversation we started here was because I'm acknowledging, my God, not a great time for Jewish people. As I was saying, I got a lot of Jewish friends. A lot of them, But here's a fact. Here's another fact. Is this anti-Semitic? I don't have any poor Jewish friends. I got a lot of poor Irish friends. I got a lot of poor black friends. I got a lot of poor Mexican friends. I don't have none of my Jewish friends are poor. And it's not like I just became friends with them no, I'm like ones that I grew up with and stuff, people of that faith that I know of my entire life. They all come from success and wealth. Not a single one of them inherited any great wealth. I don't know. I mean, what is it? What is the connection there that people do? Is it that other people recognize that there isn't a really big poverty class of Jewish people, and somehow other ethnic groups or other groups of whites who see that or recognize that just assume that means that there's something nefarious going on, when honestly, the Jewish people who have been hounded by everyone from pharaohs to the SS, maybe they just work really hard. Maybe they just, as a community, as a culture, put more of a, I don't know. But it certainly doesn't have to be, because, you see, they band together and drink baby's blood, and then they get with the aliens, you see, and they make movies. I don't get it. Not a great time to be Jewish, though, and Elon Musk ain't helping. That's the long and the short of it. Alec Baldwin is trending. We're going to watch some video here, folks. Alec Baldwin is trending. Oh, my ears are. Alec Baldwin, they got video. We got video from the set of Rust. Here's what they're saying. They're saying, here's video of Alec Baldwin on the set of Rust, firing his gun, acting in character, and then breaking character to show great concern over, where the gun is going and all that stuff. So let's watch this. This is interesting just from the standpoint that I don't think we've seen any footage from this movie yet, have we? Remember, guys, we got to see this movie. We all have to. It's probably going to be on pay-per-view. It's probably going to be like $5 or something. We all got to see this movie. You don't even have to. No, actually, I take that back. We all have to buy this movie. We all have to rent this movie. This movie has to make money for that little boy. That little boy, his mom was shot and killed in the making of this movie. The settlement for him moving forward is completely tied to back end on this film. So we need, you don't even have to watch it. Just, get $5. Just buy the movie, let it sit there. Yeah, I don't watch Westerns, so I might check it out if I buy it, but whatever, you don't have to watch it, but just remember that money's going to that kid. All right. So let's not have it be a bomb. Kid lost his mom, for crying out loud. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so let's watch this. This is a compilation video. These are scenes from. Oh, no, it's not. It's actually an NBC News story about it. That's fine. We can do that too. Let's watch some news, courtesy of our friend, Lester Holt. He's really a friend of mine. I knew Lester Holt when he was a local Chicago news guy. He was a local Chicago anchor for CBS before he went national. He used to do our show. Our morning show, because Lester Holt, we had a character named Devon, and Devon was a space alien. And Devon, and I can't, how do you explain it? Anyway, Devon the space alien and Lester Holt were drinking buddies. So Lester used to participate in the show. And now look at him. Anyway, here we go. Lester Holt. He's a cool dude. Lester's a good dude. He was a nice guy. He was always up to have fun. He was cool. I'm really happy to see the success he's. All right, here we go.
Now to our NBC News exclusive, newly revealed footage from the Alec Baldwin movie Rust, showing the actor handling and firing a gun during filming of a scene before the deadly shooting on set. As Chloe Malas reports, it comes as he is potentially facing new charges.
Tonight, never-before-seen footage from the set of Rust, taken in the days before the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Now, wait a second. If I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you.
The clips obtained exclusively by NBC News show the actor preparing for scenes, firing weapons, and interacting with crew members.
I don't know why you're going up hills and all this other. You're going to break your neck.
According to a source familiar with the matter, these videos are among dozens provided to special prosecutors days before they announced plans to recharge Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter. NBC News has not seen the rest of the videos.
Everyone doesn't need to be right here, like in the path of the gun. Could you please move?
The inside look, just a portion of the evidence that could be presented before a New Mexico grand jury starting tomorrow. Tonight, Baldwin's legal team and the prosecution declining to comment on the videos.
I was the one holding the gun, yeah.
Since the incident, Baldwin has repeatedly denied pulling the trigger in the fatal shooting. The movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence charges. Her trial is set to begin in February.
That picture right there, that's not going to play well in court. Where she seems to be posing.
The gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun.
Tonight, with the possibility of new charges on the line, Alec Baldwin's legal troubles taking center stage as prosecutors bring the deadly incident back into the spotlight. Chloe Malas, NBC News, New York.
Thanks for watching.
All right, so there you go. First video of whatever that is. Byron says Lester Holt is an iguana in a rubber albino suit. That's my boy. That's what I go to Byron for. How am I to stay abreast of all of these things that are happening if not for my producer of the weird, Byron? That's his job. I'll say this. Lester Holt might have had an iguana because I remember on a couple of occasions, I don't know if I can say this, he was married or not, but we were a morning show, so he would come in early in the morning. And he'd have a friend with him. And the friend used to just kind of sit in the booth, the producer booth, and like watch with us. And I remember both times, on both occasions, Lester's friend, probably an assistant, probably totally on the up and up. And it would make sense that at 5:45 in the morning when he's doing a quick morning hit on a radio show, that she would be in a party dress from the night before. But Ferraris, two of them. The two that I remember with him, Ferraris. Yeah, maybe I've dated a Trans Am or Corvair, maybe a Corvette. Yeah, I may have dated a Corvette or two. Lester Holt's dating Ferraris, man. You should have seen these girls. Jesus. This is before he was NBC. And I think he's happily married. He's got young sons. Stefan Holt, of course, is another guy at MSNBC. So I don't want to say, I just remember thinking, that's interesting. All right, moving on. Alec Baldwin. Oh, this one sucks. Okay, so we got to tell you a story. Kevin Turin, we talked about him. Kevin Turin was the Hollywood producer. He's the producer of The Idol. Womp, womp. He's producer of, what's that show? What's Euphoria? Whatever. I can't watch that. It's a show about the sex lives of teenage girls. Ugh. Anyway, no matter how much I liked Sydney Sweeney, and I love Sydney Sweeney. And I know, isn't it like Zendaya is the star of that show? And I like Zendaya too, but I prefer Sydney Sweeney. Maybe I should watch it with my son, because my son's very much into Zendaya. And I'm very much into Sydney Sweeney. Anyway, Kevin Turin, the executive producer of that, is he a co-creator? I don't think he's. I think that's all Levinson. I don't think he co-created, but he's executive producer of it. He dropped dead the other day. Shockingly, he's like 44 years old. Hotshot 44-year-old Hollywood TV producer, got a lot of hits. I was looking through his resume in this story. He's produced a lot of stuff that I really like. Do you guys follow the Pearl movies? Do you know the X? I think it's X and Pearl. They're incredible. Those are great movies. He did those. He did a bunch of things. Anyway, we're learning more about how he died, and it's really sad. He was driving home from his 10-year-old son's tennis tournament on Sunday. He's driving a Tesla. The Tesla was on autopilot. It was him and his 10-year-old son in the car. And he suffered a medical emergency while driving. The car was on autopilot. So, I guess that was okay. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. But they kept saying in the article the car was on autopilot. So the 10-year-old son steered the car to off the road onto the shoulder and then called 911, where paramedics arrived and the dad was dead. Ugh. You guys, that's what I keep saying. Hold your petty jealousies and your little grudges. So it's why I will unconditionally appreciate the place in my life that people like Adam, people as divergent as Adam and Byron play. Why? Because they bring me joy. They bring me some kind of a conflict. They bring me. And why is that important? Because that's all that's important. I know we were all raised to plan for tomorrow. I don't, this guy, 44-year-old Kevin Turin, top of the world, big-time Hollywood producer, worth tens and tens of millions of dollars. And oh my God, in the next 10 years, he's going to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's who this guy was. Just watched his kid play in a tennis tournament. Fancy. They got money. They're cruising along Pacific Coast Highway on a beautiful Southern California day in their cool-ass Tesla on autopilot and dead. That's what life is. Life isn't, I'm not going to do this now because I'm afraid of. I'm not saying that you be reckless with your life and not strive for some semblance of security, which is normal. But this constant need for more, this is a part of my preach, my big preach about get your bag. Identify what your bag is. Get your bag. Live to be happy. Okay. Now, I haven't gotten my bag yet, but I've already started the live to be happy thing because this is exactly that, man. Every day, tell the people that mean something to you that you love them. And why don't you do it? We don't do it because that's gay. Because I don't know. I just feel like an a-hole. I don't know. I love you. That's your ego. That's your ego protecting your own insecurities. What is your ego going to say when a plane engine drops out and kills you at the intersection of Lemon and Mockingbird tomorrow at 3:45? Right? Your ego has shut your ego down. Tell your kid you love him. Tell your buddies you like, hey man, just thinking about you. I don't have to do it every day. That's weird. But every now and again, remember to do that, because Kevin Turin was driving back with his 10-year-old son in their fancy Tesla on Pacific Coast Highway after enjoying a Saturday afternoon of watching his boy play tennis, and dead. No history, healthy guy, dead. It just ended for him. Hey, not unlike what the Oakland A's fans are going through, am I right? That's right. Also, appreciate your baseball team, because it's official, kids. The Oakland A's are no longer the Oakland A's. The much-traveled Oakland A's are now going to be the Las Vegas A's. Now, why do I say much-traveled? Because what is this? The 5th place the A's have played in? Well, certainly they were the Philadelphia A's, then they were the Kansas City A's, and then they were the Oakland A's, and now they're the Las Vegas A's. They're moving around a lot. I think they were something before they were the Philadelphia A's too. Like, I want to say, I think they were like the Scranton A's. Like, they started in like not Philadelphia, but then moved to Philadelphia. Kind of like the Chicago Bears. They started out as the Decatur Staleys. Like they played a whole bunch of years in Decatur and then moved to Chicago. So I don't know. But yeah, the Oakland A's, Major League Baseball has approved the move of the Oakland A's to Las Vegas. And why not, man? Why not? Raiders did it. Oakland, man, the fans of Oakland. You know what, though, fans of Oakland, with all due respect, people of Oakland, you don't need a team. You don't need a team in Oakland. I'm sorry. I've been to that part of the country. I understand the dynamic of San Francisco and the Bay Area, and but honestly, we're giving Oakland a team. We should give Fremont a team. I mean, Fremont should have a team before Oakland. There's not really much going on in Oakland. There used to be. Oakland once could bolster, a position of, some might in that. Not anymore. Everything's shifted. San Francisco is it's San Francisco. It'd be like if Fort Worth had a football team and a Major League Baseball team. We'd be like, why? Why aren't there's way too much going on up there? Oakland cannot have a whole slew of teams, and San Francisco can't have a whole slew of teams. That's like 8 professional teams in that tiny little. It's just not going to work. And people would rather go to, I guess San Francisco's better to go see a game, right? So, because you're drawing from the Bay Area. No one was going to A's games. Why? Because nobody wants to go to Oakland, right? You want to go, if you live in like, let's say, I don't know. Well, let's say you're a fancy person with money to spend in Cupertino, something like that. You're not taking the family to Oakland A's games. You're going to San Francisco. You're going to Candlestick Park. Is it still Candlestick? What is that park there? God, I'm old. Anyway, moving on. I feel bad for the people of Oakland, but come on, you guys. It was a luxury that you had a team at all. And now you've lost 2, and I feel for you. But look, and if your team's got to move, why not Las Vegas? Las Vegas is fine, because now you've got a fun place that you can go. You can still stay a fan of the team. They just play over in America's party backyard. That's fine. That's fine. How many games were you going to anyway? Not many, because that's why they moved. So now you can do your 2 games a year, and you can do it on, Vegas weekends. Enjoy, Oakland A's fans. I'll tell you, the San Francisco Giants are feeling it, though. They're like, yes! Like, the San Francisco Giants marketing department right now is like, we got the whole Bay Area! Might even be a campaign. Bay Area Giants. You got the New England Patriots, the Bay Area Giants, just to try and lure some of those angered A's fans. Giants love it. Giants now have this behemoth media market to themselves. Nobody else. I think maybe Houston. I'm trying to think of what Major League Baseball team has the largest media market all to themselves. It isn't New York, Chicago, or LA, because New York, Chicago, and LA have 2 teams. So there is no one single team with that entire media. Then it would go to Houston and San Francisco as the next largest media markets, and they only have 1 team. Yeah, I think it's Houston. I think Houston has the largest market all to themselves. Interesting. All right, moving on. We got another crazy person on a plane here. I want to show this to you because this is kind of blowing up. people on they're like, this is like, so there's now a conspiracy theory that I saw. Somebody's like, okay, these people aren't crazy. Something is going on these airplanes. These people are seeing something that the rest of us aren't. Because remember the lady here in Dallas who went, that dude isn't real. Or she flipped out because she was drunken on pills. And that's what happens when you're drunken on pills. And I'm pretty sure that was an Ambien reaction. But, we'll have to ask her, but she ain't talking. That dude ain't real. Remember, she was hysterical. Okay. So that's sort of ground zero for this whole people are seeing things on airplanes. That's ground zero. So here's the new one. This lady apparently had a complete schizophrenic episode on a plane while it was waiting to take off. And she starts screaming about seeing other things, but not in the way. Okay, so the chick, that MFer is not real. That girl, the way she said that was in such a confident and absolute way. She was completely certain that dude was not real. Now, I don't know what she's saying there, but she was confident about it. So that was kind of weird. It's like, why is she, what? Okay, because that's gaslighting. She said something so confidently, some of us went, well, wait, does she see something? Because she seems pretty sure that she sees something. So that's the baseline. That's what we have. Here's a new one. This is a lady on a plane, and people are like, see, it's another example. I don't know. I will wait. I will wait to tell you what I think, but let's watch it first. Okay, here's another lady freaking out on an airplane. And they're saying that this is just another example of these ghosts that are or whatever. I don't know what they're trying to say. Here we go.
Put stuff on me. Get off. Get the off. Get off, please. Is there someone that can help provide assistance? I am being trafficked. I am being human trafficked. I am being human trafficked. I am being... Stop it, you guys. Nope. This is going to go on TikTok, so I look crazy. But I am being human trafficked. I am being human trafficked. Stop! Leave me alone! Guys! Girls! No! No! If they have your family hostage, don't believe it. They use emotional manipulation. This is not real! No! Leave me alone! I am being human trafficked! I am being human trafficked!
All right, so there you go. That's the latest. She's being human trafficked. Let me offer my opinion of what's going on here. This is a woman in full bipolar meltdown. That's what's happening here. And here's how I know it. Because if she was truly the victim of human trafficking, she would express that in a different way. She wouldn't just go, I'm being trafficked with no context. She would be like, help me. I'm being trafficked. Here's what happened. This is what's going on. She gave none of that. She was just like, I'm being trafficked. So I tend to think that she was equating the flight crew restraining her with being trafficked, not a larger thing that's happening in her life. Just in this moment, I'm being trafficked. That's not the same as Byron. Byron, who seems to be weirdly familiar with the crazy, that dude ain't real chick. Her name is, I guess, Tiffany Gomez, whatever. The difference is that there was a stoicism and a confidence to Tiffany Gomez when she was like you knew she was drunk, but she wasn't like, there was something different about her composure in the moment. This chick is just having a straight up meltdown. This is a bipolar break. She's having a manic episode. It's occurring here on the plane, which is why she's having all of these delusions and she's just saying all of these crazy thoughts. They're not connected to anything. I'm being trafficked. This isn't real. She's in full meltdown. She needs help. But so let's put to rest the whole idea that there are invisible people being seen on planes. Here's another example. No, not the same thing. I still think that Tiffany Gomez. I still think that's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. That dude there, man, he ain't real. It just makes me laugh. And then in the wake of that, now we have the meme movement, right? Where it's like, that dude there, he ain't real. My favorite one is, that dude there, he ain't real. And then it's a picture of Scooby-Doo, like with a fake Scooby-Doo mustache. Like, you know, when Scooby-Doo was, that's my favorite. Anyway, Crazy on a Plane continues. Van Halen. Van Halen has announced a world tour. They're going to be going out on tour. Let's see the dates. I'll give you the dates for both my Chicago people and my Dallas people. Let's see here. Because you better be damn well certain Van Halen's playing both of them cities. By the way, I also want to address Adam Reyna. Adam Reyna, I think, was right. Adam Reyna caught me, you know, because I'm glad he caught this. The largest media market remaining, Dallas-Fort Worth, is a larger media market. The reason that I said Houston was because in that moment I was thinking cities, like what's the biggest city? I was mixing media market, largest media market, and largest city. And those two things are not the same thing. Like the combined media market of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is larger than Houston. However, the media market of Houston is far larger than the media market of Dallas. But Dallas includes the mid cities, and so we are the Texas Rangers. Very well may be the team that has the largest media market. Wow, hadn't really thought about that. And they just won a World Series. Capitalize on that, boys. San Francisco is now 2, probably, or no, Houston is 2, and then San Francisco. I don't know why I got bogged down in this. It was just an interesting little mental exercise. How about this one? So Van Halen is getting back together. They're going on tour. They're going to be out on tour this summer. Bunch of old men. I don't care. It's Van Halen. Van Halen. Let's look at the dates. Let's see what kind of dates we got here. It's going to be summer, to be certain. Let's see. They're opening up the tour on July the 13th in West Palm Beach, Florida. And then they're all throughout the South. Some point. Look at this. Here we go, my Chicago people. August the 3rd, Tinley Park. What? Credit Union 1 Amphitheater? Is that what we're calling the World Music Theater these days? All right, so there you go. They're going to be in Tinley, Van Halen in Tinley. Man, I know, like off the top of my head, I know like 100 dudes who are going to be there. So that's a fun one. August the 3rd, Tinley Park, Van Halen at the World Music Theater. And I said World Music Theater. If you're old, you know what I mean. If you're old, if you're into Van Halen, you know what the World Music Theater is and you know where to go to see him. She's called something different now. Speaking of, they're going to be in Dallas at Dos Equis Pavilion on the 22nd of August. So the 3rd of August in Tinley Park at the World Music Theater. And then on the 22nd of August, they're going to be in Dallas at the Dos Equis Pavilion. Van Halen. Now, I do have a little bit of a, not rant, but a little bit there. This is not Van Halen. I'm sorry. This is not Van Halen. This is not even close to Van Halen. I mean, I guess it would be close to Van Halen considering that 50% of the band is Van Halen, but the other 50% isn't Van Halen. It's Michael Anthony, the bass player, and it's Sammy Hagar, who, you know, Sammy himself is only 80% Van Halen. I mean, I'm going to give him credit for being important, but, you know, he's not Dave. Sammy's like 80% Van Halen, whereas Dave's like 90% Van Halen. I think I just give the edge to Dave, but whatever. It's fine. Of course, Eddie's dead, and I don't know what's going on with Alex Van Halen. So the actual people who are now named Van Halen are no longer in the band. So you got Michael Anthony on bass, and you got Sammy Hagar singing. You got Jason Bonham playing drums. Of course, Bonzo's kid. So we got some Led Zeppelin blood going on here. So let's take a count. We got Michael Anthony. He's bringing full on from beginning to end 100% Van Halen legitimacy. That's what Michael Anthony's bringing. Sammy Hagar, like I said, like 80% Van Halen legitimacy. Yeah, but he's also the Red Rocker. Sammy Hagar's got his own thing going on that I want to hear. If I go to see a Van Halen led by Sammy Hagar, I better get 1, 2, 3 Lockbox. I better get I Can't Drive 50. I'm just saying. So there's that. So and then you've got like Led Zeppelin stink. You've got genetic Led Zeppelin stink in the form of Jason Bonham on drums. And then on guitar, this is the cool one, man. This is why I'm like, yeah, let's go. Steve Vai. Steve Vai is now playing guitar in what is being called Van Halen. Now, why is this cool? It's cool because Steve Vai is without question one of the great guitar technicians of all time. Certainly in the mold of the great Eddie Van Halen. Hell, there have been guitar players who are like, I like Vai, I like Van Halen, whatever. If you're going to try and replace Eddie Van Halen, you can't just go out and get anybody. You got to go out and get somebody who people will go, okay. And you add to that the fact that Steve Vai is so respectful of Eddie Van Halen. Like Steve Vai, there are videos on YouTube where he's talking about Eddie Van Halen. He's talking about how much he admires him and all this stuff. So it's cool. So this is not really Van Halen, whatever. You're going to call it that for branding purposes. I get it. Whatever this is, this band is going to play Van Halen songs. They're going to play Sammy Hagar songs. You know Jason Bonham is going to get to do one of his dad's insane drum solos. Steve Vai is going to replicate what needs to be done in playing Eddie's licks. It's going to be great. This is going to be great. Here, I do want to show you something here, though. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve Vai, Mike Davis. I'm so sorry. You're right. I mean Joe Satriani. Steve Vai. Steve Vai is also, I could say the exact same thing. God, thank you, Mike. Who else did it? Byron got me. Who else got me? I wasn't looking at the chat room. Yeah. Okay. Man, I'm sorry. Thank you for catching me on that. Because, yeah, I meant Joe Satriani, but I was saying Steve Vai. Satch. All right. So, and here, I want to show you this because I got a cool video. This was on the Howard Stern show last night. I don't know if, or the Howard Stern show yesterday. I don't know when that show, I haven't heard that show. I see clips. Again, I'm not a serious subscriber. I don't know anything about it. Here we go. But this was going around, and I thought this was really cool. This was the announcement of the Van Halen tour on the Howard Stern show, and it is Joe Satriani, kind of talking about trying to pull off Eddie's licks and how difficult that could be. So this is really cool. I'm going to let this play. Let's enjoy this. Let me geek out. Indulge me. This is one of my favorite things. Here we go. This is from the Howard Stern show yesterday.
Difficult riff you think that Eddie ever came up with. Sammy, you said the intro to 5150 was the favorite thing of yours, that you love it.
That and Summer Nights, but there's something else that from the early days that he did that we all just go every time Eddie would play that, and every time Joe plays it,
This is impossible to play, right?
Crazy.
For all of you that
nuts.
aren't that familiar with it,
That's
that
nuts.
was an intro to a song called "Mean Streets" from early Van Halen stuff. I mean, you listen to that, it blows your mind.
That's just lunatic. Like, that isn't even like the thing about what Eddie did. The reason Joe was in this band for this tour is because, like I said, if you're going to go deep into his stuff, into Van Halen catalog, you need a guy like Joe Satriani that's not just imitating Eddie. You know, so many little kids in grocery stores nowadays can just pick up a guitar off the shelf, 12-year-old, and go play all this stuff, but they don't necessarily know what they're playing. You know, they're just imitating Eddie because he's so distinct. Joe knows what he's playing, and Joe can do something like that and know what it means. I think that's just Eddie just fucking around, beating the shit out of his guitar. He said, no, he's actually playing, the third here and an octave here and a thing. He knows this stuff, and that's the difference between playing this stuff with Joe and just having some guitar player in the band that can imitate Eddie.
Joe, can you demonstrate the thing that Sammy loves so much, the intro to 5150? Is that doable? If not, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second. It's a different tuning.
But
I didn't mean to put Joe on the spot, but a little demo of 5150, just because.
Let me just point something out that I hope most Van Halen fans, such as myself, appreciate here. What we just heard, the guitar going into the drums there, was not Van Halen. That's all we're hearing right now are the two guys that are not Van Halen. The two guys who are actually in Van Halen haven't contributed to this song yet. What we just heard sounded to me exactly like Van Halen. That sounds like Eddie playing and Alex drumming. And if that's what we're going to get, I mean, look, these guys are great. That's what they're going for. And so that's what it's going to sound like. Here we go. I'll let it continue. All right, now here comes Michael. I will make some Van Halen bass. If you're over 45 and that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what to do with you. Just went 7. Come out. I mean, that was Van Halen. And really, what did we say? Didn't we not learn a lesson about Kevin Turin? Kevin Turin, the guy, the producer, just everything top of the world, riding with his kid, and then all of a sudden his time was up and it's over. We just learned a lesson there. And you're going to listen to that and you're going to be like, well, it's not Van Halen. Shut the fuck up. Eddie's dead. Van Halen's over. You're either right with that or you're not. What this is a celebration of Van Halen by the exact people that you would want leading the party. That seems awesome to me. That seemed awesome. Van Halen is over. That's not Van Halen. Look, you know what'd be cool? Let's roll Dave out. What kind of condition is Dave in? Let Dave come out and do some songs. Sammy can play guitar. Problem is Sammy and Dave don't like each other. I mean, they've played nice and they've co-toured and, all that kind of stuff. They don't like each other. They really don't. Two different guys. Two very different kinds of guys. Dave's a weirdo. And Sammy honestly seems pretty cool. But because Dave's a weirdo, I find him to be the better front man because the weirdo is more interesting. Don't want to drive cross country in the backseat of a hot car with the weirdo. That, I think, would go better if it was me and Sammy. But, Dave, come on. I want to see Dave. I want to see. Can he still do it? You know what? Can Dave still be Dave? I don't think so. I don't know, but they say that can Jagger still be Jagger? And Jagger's like 105, and he's just, he just made the UK's Olympic team as a gymnast. So he's. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. VH Van Halen touring the 22nd of August at Dos Equis Pavilion here in Dallas, and then on the 3rd of August at the World Music Theater there in Chicago. Well, Tinley Park anyway. The Oscars. Let's see. Let's go. The Oscars have made an announcement. That's right. The Oscars have a new host. The new host of the Oscars is an old host, Jimmy Kimmel. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care. I don't give a crap. Are the Oscars even? Man, gotta tell you, I used to love the Oscars. Boy, I used to when I was little, because I was a movie freak. I loved movies. For some reason, as a little kid, I don't know if I was allowed or if it just happened, but somehow as a little kid, like 8, 9 years old, I was like into grown-up movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I made my grandma take me to see Ordinary People. I was like 10 years old. And I'm like, Grandma, I want to go see this movie about a wealthy couple who go through a divorce after the suicide of their teenage son. That's not normal. But anyway, I was a big fan of the Oscars as a little kid. And the Oscars used to mean something. It was, for me, it was like World Series, Super Bowl, Oscars, right? Those were like 3 big things that were like really, really important to me. Also, I also remember putting a great deal of importance on season premieres and season finales of TV shows shows as important like Charlie's Angels and The Bionic Man. I used to put like, and I know that I put importance on them because I specifically remember fights and arguments with my mom. You gotta let me stay up late. It's the season finale of Fantasy Island. What kind of a 9-year-old was I? A weird one. So anyway, Jimmy Kimmel's hosting the Oscars. I don't think anybody. I don't remember. I mean, I guess I watched the Oscars. I don't know. I don't remember last year. I don't watch movies in the way I used to watch movies. So for the end of season, celebration that the Oscars are about the end of a movie season, a movie year, another year in movies. That celebration needs to change because, like, the Oscars got to be on Netflix. I don't know why. Commercials. I don't know. I just don't remember they went hostless during the pandemic, and that was I don't know. Actually, I don't. I remember they did it, but I don't remember watching that. I don't know the last time I watched the Oscars, and I don't know when that happened, when it fell apart. Here, I did find this though. Thought this was interesting. Yeah. So I was thinking back. Jimmy Kimmel's hosting the Oscars again this year. I don't know when he hosted. Did he host? Because he's hosted before. Let me see. Hold on. Jimmy Kimmel, or who was the last host of the Oscars? Here we go. All right. So Jimmy Kimmel is hosting the 96th Oscars that will be held on March the 10th, 2024. Last year, he hosted. All right. So he hosted last year too. And then the year before that, it was some weird combination. Oh, remember it was the women's year, Oscar no black or whatever. So it was Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes. And then so they didn't seem so obvious that they were bowing down to the Twitter pressure of Oscar so white. They shoehorned Amy Schumer in there. So it was just another stupid, ill-advised decision by the Oscar people. Then there was a 3-year period where there were no hosts. That was between 2018 and 2021. There were no hosts of the Oscars. Pandemic, I'm guessing, were those like the pandemic years? The rest of us went through about a year and a half of the pandemic. But apparently Hollywood, being the dramatic freaks that they are, they stretched it out to 3 full years of no hosts because of the pandemic. We were all back to normal. Hollywood was still pushing masks. Let's see here. Before that, we had Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, so Jimmy Kimmel has been pretty much, he's hosted 1, 2, 3. This will be the third time in the last 10 years. So he's been doing it a lot. I tried to remember my first Oscars. Like, what was the first Oscars that I remember? Who's the first Oscar host that I actually remember thinking of? Oh, that's the guy from the Oscars. And it was Bob Hope. So I looked it up and I was like, did Bob Hope host the Oscars? I mean, I'm sure he did like in the 40s and 50s, but in my lifetime as a kid, would old man Bob Hope in the 70s have hosted and he did. And it made total sense to me why I remembered Bob Hope hosting the Oscars. What year was it? I mean, he did it a number of times, but then he stopped doing it for a bunch of years. Here it is. It was 1978. And this is why I remember it. This is the first Oscars that I recall. So what was I, 1970? It was March 7th. So I was 7 years old. So I remember this Oscars from when I was 7 years old. Bob Hope was the host. And why do I remember this one specifically as the start of it? Because Star Wars was nominated. And I was, man, oh man, Star Wars. Are you kidding me? Because in years, it just seemed like movies that won awards, even though I was 7 and didn't have a great frame of reference, it seemed like they were acknowledging me because it was like my favorite movie. And people think I'm a dumb kid. And somehow if I love this movie, Star Wars, and these grown-ups who seem to know it must mean something. So that's why I was very excited. Now, why is it memorable? Because Star Wars didn't win. And I was so angry. It was like watching my team lose the Super Bowl. I was 7 years old when Star Wars lost to Annie Hall. Woody Allen's Annie Hall won Best Picture. Star Wars didn't win. I was so mad. At 7 years old, I could not understand how they could make such a grave error. How could you? Long story short, now as an adult, I place Annie Hall in my top 5 favorite films of all time. At 7, now I look back and I go, well, yeah. I mean, Annie Hall is obviously a better film than Star Wars. May not have been as culturally impactful, but that's only because Star Wars was a phenomenon with, toys and theme parks and all of that stuff. Annie Hall was just a cultural phenomena, but for a more sophisticated crowd. Anyway, that's why I remember that one. And that was Bob Hope. But then as I grew, I remember the host was always either Johnny Carson, and then he was replaced by Billy Crystal. And then I remember David Letterman doing the Oprah and Uma thing. I remember that from the 90s. And then, I don't know, at some point I just started to go, this sucks. I hate all of these people. How about a gas leak, in the building? Jimmy Kimmel's back. Few people still celebrate the Oscars. I don't want to say that I don't, because I could very easily see myself going, oh, the Oscars are tonight? All right. Dude, I used to make a special dinner. This is around the time that both my wives probably thought, did I marry a gay man? He's making a special dinner for the Oscars tonight. I like movies. What can I tell you? I like movies. I used to take that stuff seriously until it was all revealed to be a big sham. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, here's a fun article. I saw this article here and I thought this was good because, I talk to you guys all the time about how I put myself in charge of my son's cultural education. What that means is I want my son, as he grows, to go out in the world and understand when people make literary references, or understand what they mean when somebody says, because so many people don't get, so many people out there use references from movies, from books, from just life, from culture, from experience, from history. And I think a lot of people don't get them. Because I oftentimes will call people out and say, do you know what that means? And then they're like, no, what? So I don't want my son to be one of these person who just goes, well, there's nothing I don't understand, and moves on, right? So I'm taking he's being forced to watch things and be exposed to things that he never would. No normal kid left to their own devices with access to YouTube or TikTok would never choose. So I've been front and center about that. I've been keeping a list of things I make him watch and things I make him experience and all that kind of stuff. So this story here, which appeared that I saw, and it was a parent lamenting that their children do not find the movies that they saw as youngsters as hysterical, as being funny anymore. So basically, this is like a bunch of Gen X and maybe to some extent boomers pointing out films that they have watched with younger generations, Gen Z to be specific. And Gen Z didn't like these movies, didn't find these films to be funny. So I thought this was interesting. So let's go through this list. Actually, we can kind of share it, I think. I think there's a way for us to share it so you can see what these are. Oh, no, I can't. I'm sorry, because it's a different. All right, so I'm just going to run through some of these. So these are movies that kids. Hold on. Let's make it big. Make it big. All right. So we'll start out with one that I have not shown my 14-year-old son yet, but it's a film that these parents who were polled in this, say that their kids just don't appreciate and just don't get. Number one on this list is 1984's This Is Spinal Tap. One of the mockumentary form genre is one of my all-time favorites. This may not have been the first. That would be Albert Brooks's real life. But it was certainly one of the greats, and it inspired the career of Christopher Guest, who would give us, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, just incredible stuff. I'm going to make my son watch This Is Spinal Tap. Haven't done it yet, and I haven't done it yet because I don't know. This is an important one to me. There are certain things that I have not exposed my son to yet because they're important to me, and his rejection of them will hurt me. So I'm saving some things for him to show levels of maturity that I believe would accept what I'm going to lay on him. All right, so what else? This is Spinal Tap. Monty Python's The Life of Brian, 1979. My son has seen The Life of Brian. My son thinks The Life of Brian is funny. Other parents say my son likes all the Monty Python, so we can just cut through that. Airplane, 1980. Kids don't find Airplane funny. I don't know what's not to find funny about Airplane. I mean, funny is funny. It's not. It's timeless. Isn't Airplane? You know what? Airplane, Naked Gun, any of the Zucker brothers movies, not Zucker Abrams, the Zucker Abrams Zucker films, they're all just so wonderfully on the nose with its humor. They're front and center. It's nothing subtle. It's just sit down and just laugh. Yes, it's going to be stupid, but you're going to laugh. So, maybe Gen Z is uptight. If you can't appreciate Airplane, you're uptight. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This is a weird one that's in there. I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but I don't consider it necessarily a great comedy or something that is identifiable with boomers or Gen Xers. All right, what else? There's another one here. Naked Gun. Again, see Airplane. I don't get it. If you don't appreciate that, you're just too uptight. My Cousin Vinny. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't know. My Cousin Vinny, it's all right. Everybody doesn't have to like that. Again, My Cousin Vinny, I do not consider to be a classic comedy. I consider it to be a good movie from 25 years ago or whatever, but it's not a classic. I don't know. Tropic Thunder, 2008. A movie about another movie about a fictional book that's supposed to be real, but it turns out to be fake. Such a smart comedy. Watch it with commentary on blah, blah, blah. Children, especially those born in the... Okay, so anyway, Tropic Thunder. 2008's Tropic Thunder. If you were to pull my 14-year-old son out of class right now and say, quick, name your favorite movie, he would say Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder is my son's currently favorite film. He loves that movie. He loves Robert Downey Jr. He loves Tom Cruise. Look, think about the people who are in that movie and then think about a 14-year-old. That movie is just filled with people the 14-year-old already thinks is cool. My kid loves Marvel movies and Iron Man, and he loves the Mission Impossible films. So, Tropic Thunder. A Fish Called Wanda, 1988. Hell, I didn't even like A Fish Called Wanda. I thought that movie was wildly overrated. I'm like, there's a couple of laughs, but not great. Young Frankenstein. Now we're in the Mel Brooks category. I've exposed my son to some Mel Brooks. Apparently these parents say that their kids don't like Young Frankenstein. I did not show my son Young Frankenstein simply because it's in black and white. He already thinks any movie made in the 1900s, and he calls it that. Do you have any little bastard children that refer to the 20th century as the 1900s? Do you know what that sounds like to me, to my ears? Yeah, Dad, okay, whatever. You were born back in the 1900s. Oh, that just sounds so bad. Anyway, he ain't going to put up with a black and white film. I am going to attempt to show him a black and white film, but that black and white film is going to be Raging Bull. I'll let you know how it goes. Maybe then we'll move on to Young Frankenstein. Another film that Gen Z does not appreciate, but Generation X and Boomers do. Here's another one that my 14-year-old son loves, and that is Hot Fuzz. We love all these movies. We love what are all the zombie movies that this guy makes. Hot Fuzz. My kid likes it. My 14-year-old likes it. Best in Show. Christopher Guest. Again, this is maybe these kids don't appreciate the mockumentary improv forum. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's because here's why. Oh my God, I think I just stumbled onto something. The biggest problem that I see with this generation, with my son's generation, and I see a lot of things that aren't a problem. I told you the other day how I see kindness in a way that I have not seen from human beings in other I see tolerance, I see understanding, I see a willingness to attempt compassion. I see a lot of good things, but one of the things that sucks is they have no attention span, which when combined with those other things means they're only kind to you for a second and then forget they were. Anyway, the point is this. Christopher Guest films like Best in Show and Spinal Tap and the mockumentaries, these things that they're created with a loose script, meaning it's not anything to be memorized. It's just an outline of what your character is all about. and then you as an actor kind of improv most of the lines. That requires you to pay attention. And I'm telling you, kids do not pay attention. They don't. They don't. And I know parents have said that, oh, what generation said? No. It's different now. It's different now because kids are always buried in their phones. Kids always have multiple screens. Distractions are everywhere with kids. The very idea that we're going to sit, like let's say we move into the bedroom and we're gonna lay in the big bed and we're gonna watch a movie on a Saturday night and eat popcorn and all that kind of stuff. Turn the lights off, maybe light some candles, get it nice and cool, put the movie on. We're gonna sit down. I cannot get 20 minutes into a film without him going, wait. Let me look at my phone. And then, I'll put up with it. And then like 20 more minutes into the film, he's been on his phone for the past 20 minutes. And he's looking up every now and again. They can't pay attention. So of course they don't like brilliant improvisational performances, the like that you get in Christopher Guest films. Of course they don't appreciate it because they're not hanging on it. They're not. Best in Show, kids don't like. Here's a bullshit one, 2014. Gen X parents are saying that their kids do not like another mockumentary. This is another mockumentary. This might be my favorite mockumentary of all time. That's right. I said it. I love Best in Show and I love Spinal Tap. But this 2014 mockumentary that they're saying kids don't like, I love. What We Do in the Shadows. The 2014 New Zealand mockumentary about a group of vampires doing a reality show, which is, for my money, still the funniest film made in this century. I believe 2014's What We Do in the Shadows is the funniest film made since the turn of the century. And everybody involved in that film, by the way, oh, Pugs, you're just saying that. Oh, really? Because everybody involved in that film is now a major Hollywood player. Taika Waititi, who created that film, is now the hottest director in Hollywood. He's doing Star Wars films. He's doing Marvel movies. Jermaine Clement, one of the most bookable actors in Hollywood. So this movie is really important. And nobody saw it. And a lot of people are like, that's stupid. No, it's not stupid. It's actually quite brilliant. And the television show that spun off from it is one of the highest rated and most critically acclaimed shows on the FX network. Is it FX? I think it's FX. And I will say this, maybe all these other Gen X kids or Gen Z kids don't like What We Do in the Shadows. My kid loves it. This is one of the great things that we bond over. This is one of What We Do in the Shadows, the original film from 2014 and the series, is like, if we're in a fight, if we're not talking, that's the Peacemaker show. That's the one that goes on the TV that lets both of us know, okay, we can compromise with this. So I don't know about kids not appreciating What We Do in the Shadows. Blazing Saddles comes in next. Kids don't like Blazing Saddles. I don't particularly like Blazing Saddles. I mean, I think it's funny. I want to watch Blazing Saddles. Yeah, man, that's good for some laughs. But I don't put Blazing Saddles in my list of the greatest comedies of all time. I think it's great. I mean, it's Richard Pryor, my God. Richard Pryor and Mel Brooks. That's who created it. That's who wrote those words. So, I mean, it's got a pedigree. I just don't think it's that great. And I can totally understand why a kid of today might be like, this is kind of stupid. I don't know. I haven't shown, again, Mel Brooks films. I started out with Spaceballs, and we loved Spaceballs. And that's, I think, the only Mel Brooks film that I've shown him. I don't think I've gone any deeper. Super Troopers, 2001. Kids apparently hate Super Troopers. My 14-year-old loves Super Troopers. He thinks it's hysterical. Clue, 1985. Nobody liked Clue in 1980. That's a bad one to be here. 1980s. The Gods Must Be Crazy. No, we are not. We're not going to extend this fraud into another century. You guys know The Gods Must Be Crazy? You know that movie? Oh, it was a phenomena back in the early 80s. It's about like an African tribal dude who's like in the middle of like the Sahara, or he's like in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. It's been 50 years since I've seen it. He's like in the middle of nowhere, and an airplane flies over, and the pilot of the airplane throws a Coca-Cola bottle out the window of the airplane. And this like African tribal dude gets hit by it. Does he get hit by it? Or no, because I'll probably kill him. But it falls like next to him, and he sees it, and he thinks the Coca-Cola bottle is a sign of God. It's stupid. I mean, it's whatever. No, it's not. It shows the beauty of these noble people. And yeah, it shows their stupidity too, because that he didn't hear the airplane. He didn't attach the noise the airplane made with the sudden appearance of this bottle. He just decided to go to anyway. I can understand why nobody likes The Gods Must Be Crazy. It's a stupid movie. It was a stupid movie then. Pretentious people acted like it was some game changer. And just, we understand Africa more now. No, we don't. Shut up. Moving on. Hot Rod, 2007. That's the Andy Samberg movie. Never saw it. Can't. Idiocracy. Here's a good one. 2006 is Idiocracy. Kids apparently don't appreciate Idiocracy. About a month ago, my son and I watched Idiocracy. It was one of them. I was like, okay, maybe you need to see this, because this is another one where references are everywhere. This was a fun one because as we were watching it, he points out, he goes, oh, now I know what that means, right? That's the whole point of it. And he likes to play that game. But we didn't watch the whole thing. We didn't get through the whole thing. He thought it was funny. He got it. He understood the premise. He needed to get back to his phone. There's some group chat going on with him and some girls and some dudes. So whatever. Didn't make it through the whole movie. But he didn't hate Idiocracy, as this article claims that kids hate Idiocracy. And somehow their stupid parents like it. Kung Fu Hustle, 2004. I never saw that. What about Bob? Richard Dreyfuss as Bill Murray's psychiatrist. He tries to go out of town for the weekend or the summer or whatever. He goes to his lake house. Bill Murray can't handle being without his therapist. Bill Murray chases him down. What about Bob? What about Bob, man? Me and the boy watched What About Bob last summer. We loved it. Loved it. He loves What About Bob. You ask him, what's your favorite Bill Murray movie? He doesn't go Ghostbusters. My kid goes, What About Bob? So although this article says that kids don't like What About Bob, my kid did. My kid thought it was hysterical. Then comes Monty Python, The Holy Grail. My son has seen that. He likes that. He likes all the Monty Pythons. The Jerk, 1979. Here's another one. I don't know. We have to go back and revisit The Jerk, because I first exposed my son to The Jerk when he was about 8 or 9 years old, because that's when I was exposed to it. I thought, what's 9 or 10, something like that. I'm like, okay, I was the same age. We watched it, and like for the first half hour, 40 minutes, he was really into it. Again, he's like 8 or 9 years old at this point, and he's laughing and we're laughing. I mean, we're acknowledging that this is funny. This is pretty funny. Then he fell asleep. So I don't know. So I don't know what he thought of The Jerk. He was like 8 years old. It was 12 at night, and he fell asleep during it. So, but we liked the first 40 minutes of it. All right, that's it. That's that article. These movies, the Gen Z and parents disagree on, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I guess that's it, folks. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, it is it. That is it for the show. That is it for the rank and file of the show. Now it's me time. Now it's daddy time. I woke up today very excited because something. Do you ever just get blindsided by something? Like you don't expect it, and it's just like then you understand something to be the case, and you go, oh, well, isn't that? I was not expecting it. Well, I had that today. Not in any life-changing way, but just a little way to put a spring in my step, something that's got me a bit excited. I learned this morning upon waking up that The Crown is back on Netflix. Woo! The final season of The Crown. I feel like I've been waiting 2 years for this. Can we get to the Diana years? Can we please? I mean, we've been dabbling in the Diana years, but we've all known that the final season of this is going to be about the car crash, Dodi Fayed, the turmoil after that. That's what we want to see. Now, I don't want to see this lovely actress who has been playing Diana, who I am, if truth be told, highly smitten by. I am smitten by the portrayal of Diana, as the world was by Diana herself, I suppose. Anyway, it's the new season of The Crown, and here's the nonsense. Here's the nonsense, but also I can live with that. So, the final season of The Crown is being released in 2 parts. You know, they sometimes do this. So, yes, The Crown is on Netflix. The new season has debuted on Netflix, but it's only the first 4 episodes. So I'm like, damn, because this puts me although I never sit and binge an entire series in one sitting, I like to begin knowing that if that were the case, it could be done. Like, I don't want to start watching the final season of The Crown and then burn through 4 episodes this weekend, which I know I'm probably going to do. Burn through 4 episodes this weekend and then have to wait another year for the next 4. That sucks. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But the good news is that the first 4 episodes were released today, and then the next 4 episodes are being released a month from now. So it's only a month. It's only a month. It's like, yeah, we got 4 episodes. You can watch 1 episode a week. And what is this, 1979? I'm not going to watch 1 episode and then like limit myself. If I want to watch another episode, I'm going to watch another episode because I pay for Netflix. So they gave us 4 of those. So I'll burn through them this weekend, and then I'll have a good 3.5 weeks to wait before the next 4. But anyway, very exciting. Let's watch the trailer. Yeah, you damn right we're gonna watch the trailer because I'm a weird Crown guy. And look, I'm not a weird Crown guy because you know what? I'm gonna out one of my friend Mike. This doesn't work right, does it? Hold on. My friend Mike, Big Mike, he's he's like one of the manliest men you'll ever meet. He's like was a former professional baseball player, right? He was a pitcher, a closer. Let's see. He was married to she's been married twice, but they're both anyway. My point is this: he's a man's man. Loves the Crown. He's how I know. I got a text. He's like, dude, Crown's back. I'm like, yeah. Let's be incredibly non-masculine together but that's not what it is. See, that's I think the perception of the Crown. It's not. It's a history. It's a show about history. It is a show about the last 70 years of Western history as seen through the eyes of a woman who was ringside for all of it. I mean, she's been in charge for a very long time. So it's all about it's not a soap opera. It's just no, it's not. No, it is not. Anyway, my point is this season looks very much like a soap opera. It does. But this is the soap opera we want. Like, if they are going to do a soap opera, this is the one we want. We want to see, the final days, the final weeks, the final months of Diana's life. What was it like? What was the relationship between her and Charles? Was it as bad as they say? Was the queen a bitch? I mean, let's go. So here you go. Let's watch the trailer. This is the new season. New season of The Crown. I'm very excited.
I don't really understand how I ended up here. Dashing around. And losing sight of myself in the process. I think that's been the story of my whole life.
I'm afraid, Your Majesty, interest in the princess's private life is unlikely to die down anytime soon.
The press are on our tails constantly.
All one wants is for that girl to find peace.
Mummy, you okay?
I'm okay. It's just... it has all been a bit mad recently.
You've finally succeeded in turning this house upside down. It's nothing less than revolution.
That was never my intention.
Set against a background of raw emotion, the royal family remains silent.
What do people want from me?
For you to be mother to the nation.
You've seen the images on the television. Diana gave people what they needed.
All over the world, in their thousands.
And they adored her for it.
This is going to be the biggest thing that any of us has ever seen.
Yeah. Look at that. So, yeah, it was part 1, and then a month later. That's the shit for me right there. Very excited. That's what I'm going to do this weekend. But the weekend does not start. No. The weekend begins tomorrow. So tonight, join us at 9 o'clock. We've got ourselves one of them there Radio Misfits shows, myself and James Parker. And then tomorrow we'll be back for more. Back for more of this nonsense, what we do every day, Monday through Friday at high noon. All the hot topics, the current events, everything that you need to know about this very day. Yeah, that's it. Let's see. Oh, tip the show if you can. That'd be great. Wonderful. We didn't get one today. That's okay. So Leslie C. might, in fact, be the producer for the 3rd straight day in a row tomorrow. Jeff Ballard says, also a fellow Crown fan, I will probably watch all 4 tonight since it's my night off. Jeff, I'd love to pretend I'm better than that, but yeah, I could see me. Here's what I say. I could see me at like 1:15 this morning, going 1 episode left because I've rattled through 3 because I'm just so, addicted. And I'm like, it's like 1:15 and I start doing that math. Okay, so if I watch this is 55 minutes. And if I immediately fall asleep after that, I could see myself doing that too. Well, it's good to have something to watch. I would love to be able to say that I'm big enough and strong enough to be able to resist watching and wait until December the 14th when all 8 are posted and I can watch it. But what's the point of that? All right. That's it. We're done. No. Hold on. All right. I got, it's a weird sentence I'm about to say. I got lost in a jungle of John Hinckley songs. Who knew he had that many songs? He's got a lot of them. The prolific singer-songwriter / failed assassin, John Hinckley, brings us home every day with his never-ending quest song from the album. I don't know what the album would be called. Daddy. That's Daddy time. Barney says that Danny McBride is great in Hot Rod. I have no doubt Danny McBride is great in everything. I never saw Hot Rod though. I always just sort of thought there's a whole bunch. Lorne Michaels is great at this. There's a whole bunch of Saturday Night Live movies that get pumped out that aren't. There's no wit. There's no cleverness. It's just, hey, it's a crazy character from the show. And although Hot Rod wasn't exactly that, it just felt to me like it was just a pumped out disposable. But those sometimes end up being funny. I'll tell you one of those films that I just thought was a pumped out comedy cash register. That I think is one of my favorite movies is that Adam Sandler movie, Don't Mess with the Zohan. Nobody likes Zohan. I do. I'm like, I don't know. That character makes me laugh. I think the character of Zohan is hysterical. Adam Rayna, also advocating for Hot Rod. Okay. All right. Hot Rod was way ahead of its time, says Adam. All right. Hey man, I'm biased and wrong about, my entertainment choices all the time. And here's why I keep an open mind, because if I am pleasantly surprised by something that I was wrong about within the realm of culture and entertainment, well, that's a good thing. That means I just enjoyed something. So I am willing to be wrong. Hot Rod may in fact be great. Yeah, I never saw MacGruber. Gotta be honest. That might be a bridge too far. And here's why. The MacGruber character, the MacGruber sketches on Saturday Night Live always got me to fast forward through them. Why wouldn't I? It's the same payoff bit every time. We know what, there was never, so when that movie came out, I was like, ugh. And that's terrible because I love Will Forte. I think Will Forte is amazingly funny. God, I love that guy. Never saw MacGruber. A bridge too far. Won't be seeing MacGruber. Anything else? I got nothing else. All right, guys. Love you. Gotta go. Bye.
Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some.